Welcome. You've got emo stuff. SADurdays on Planet Radio
106.7
with Hunter deBlanc.
Can I put my arm around you the whole time? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, there we go. There we go. All right.
What the fuck is up, Denny's? I am here with my good friend, Andrew McMahon of Jack's Mannequin. What's up, brother?
Dude, just, recovering from going pretty big last night.
What'd y'all do last night?
Well, we got in at 11, then went to the pool and sort of drank steadily throughout the day. Went to go see a comedy show that kind of ended up being like, it felt like a fucking Klan rally. It was like very dark, very hardcore right wing, whatever.
Oh, no. Why'd you end up there?
Well, I was excited to see the headliner. I left before the headliner because the openers were so gnarly. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so that took some shaking off. Then I realized that I didn't have any money in my checking account. I was already like, oh man, I feel dirty for having watched like 3 of the most vile comedians ever. I need to go gamble, and then I couldn't get money out of my bank account. So the night ended at 11:40. Although I did wake up at 6 in the morning in all my clothes with all the lights on in my hotel room, and I was like, where am I? And that's how yesterday was, and today is a new day.
Well, how are you feeling today?
I feel fucking great.
Good.
I'm excited. This is gonna be fun. It's so fun. Like I'm seeing all these old homies. Like just saw the starting line guys, saw the main guys. I miss saying hi to Yellow Card because I had to talk to you.
They're right there. Say hi.
Where are they?
They're right
Ryan, Sean. They don't care. They don't like.
They're in the zone, dude. They're in press mode.
They're in press. They're in press
mode.
Yeah. Oh, you're interviewing me. I won't ask you questions.
Yeah, I got a question for you, and this is something I actually don't know. I know I seem like a huge Andrew McFan, but there are some things I do not know. I do not know the name Jack's Mannequin. I don't know where it derived from. The only inkling I have is the movie Fight Club, where he says, I am Jack's, whatever, raging sense of vengeance, or whatever he says in that.
No, I mean, kind of a longer story. I mean, it really is at the time that I was working on the songs that would become Jack's Mannequin, the first song that I wrote was called Dear Jack, which is also what the foundation's named after. It didn't end up making it on the first record, but there's demos of it that circulate. And so I had this Dear Jack, and then I was toying with a name, The Mannequins, or some variation thereof, and it was just like, here was this song I had written, Dear Jack, and then here were all these band names I was going through, and so I was just like, no, Jack's Mannequin. Yeah. That's it. That's the story.
Well, how did you decide to start writing for Jack's Mannequin? How did something corporate come to a close, or why did it come to it? These are things I generally don't know.
I didn't start by writing for Jack's Mannequin. I started by writing for a third something corporate album, but it was like kind of around the time where we were all so burnt out. Josh was getting ready to embark on doing Firescape, his side project. We were kind of like needed to pump the brakes and decided to take that hiatus. And so then I had all these songs that I had been writing and working on for the something corporate record. But we were not working at the time. So I started going into the studio just with Jim, who produced the something corporate records. And, I'd send him this like 20 songs that I had demoed. And he was like, I like this one, and I think that might have been Holiday from Real. There were a couple of early, I think Holiday was really the only main one in there. There was another song called Locked Doors. So I would go into the studio with Jim, and it would just be like, well, let's just work these up together because I don't want to stop recording. And within a couple of weeks of doing that, I was like, this is so fun, and I was just having such a good time, just being in the room with just me and a producer, and feeling like, being in a band, there's a self-consciousness that comes along with having, you write something, you create something, you want your friends to like it, you want them to be into it. And I think I was feeling very private at the moment. And so to be in the studio and just this is how I want it to sound, and nobody's telling me not to. And And a few songs came together, and it was like, oh shit, I think this is
Something
else.
Yeah.
I just felt like it was like, oh, this isn't a Something Corporate record. This is something else. And so I just chased that thread for a few months until all of a sudden it was like there were,
Something more substantial.
yeah. Then it was like Holiday and God, I'm trying to think of those early tunes, but like Holiday was in that mix. I'm Ready was in the mix on that. Like there was like a handful of like fucking bangers, where I was
Straight up bangers. So yeah.
shit, we have a record on our hands. And then I started going, okay, I'm going to do this.
When did Tommy Lee enter the picture, and how the fuck? That is such a cool story that he just is involved in this record.
It was probably like halfway through the album. I got a call. At the time we shared a manager, and Tommy had been he'd been into the Something Corporate North record. He really liked North.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And like picked it up like swag in the manager's office. Like, oh, who are you working on? And he got the newest Something Corporate record and was really into Me and the Moon. And he was like, and I'd heard rumblings like, oh, like Tommy says like Me and the Moon is his like favorite song out right now. And I was like, that's so cool. And he called me one day, and I thought it was a prank, but he called on the phone while I was in the studio working on Transit, and he was like, Andrew, like full Tommy voice. And I realized it was him eventually. And he's like, I love Me and the Moon. I'm working on an album of collaborations, and I'm writing this song about a friend, I think, who I think his wife had passed, maybe. And
Get on the couch.
And come see, just at least come meet us. Come give me a hug.
I want to say whatever you're tying.
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Good to see you.
Let's hang this weekend. All right. And so he's like, I'm working on this song. It's like pretty heavy. I've kind of started it, but I feel like you're the right guy to help me finish this song. And so I like shut down the studio, went to work at Tommy's studio.
Tommy Lee, like solo joint or something?
Yeah. It's a record called Tommy Lay on the Ride, and went over there, listened to the song. I wasn't really super comfortable like writing with people in the room at that point, so I was like, can I take this home for the weekend and work on it? So I finished the song at home, brought it back to him, and it began this like really cool sort of like where I'd be working on Jack stuff, and then I'd finish that session and I'd go over to Tommy's studio, and he ended up having me like co-produce a bunch of the music on that record, and I wrote another song for that record and sang on that record, and then by the end of it, I was like, we'd just been cutting up tape loops, and like it was everything for Transit was like, we would find old 2-inch tapes and find drum beats that sounded that sounded like they were close enough, and then we would we'd time these drum loops, and it sounded really great, but it was like at some point we wanted to glue
You want an actual with a real drummer. Yeah.
And so I was like, hey Tommy, like one day I was just like, do you think you'd be down to maybe play on a few songs on my record? And he's like, yeah, of course, like come over. And so we brought all the sessions over that we had at that point. I think La 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 and Dark Blue hadn't been recorded yet, but everything else. And he played on everything in a single night. And it was like kind of just this like drum clinic. Like,
So when like over a few weeks, there's one
night.
Really?
We did it all in one night.
Goddamn.
He played the whole record in one night. But it was like, but it was also like he would play and like do like 3 passes of a song and move on. And then we ended up just taking what he did. There were songs that there were beats that he played on certain songs where like, I like that for this. And then we started taking Tommy's drums and flying.
Or like
the
mix and match. Yeah.
Yeah. It was super cool.
Well, Andrew, you had told me that one of your biggest influences when you were young was Billy Joel. Who were some of your other influences that may have shaped the sound that came to be what you're known for, the Something Corporate sound? Or when the Audio Boxer EP, like what were you jamming at that time?
God, in that moment, it would have been bands like Jimmy Eat World, Knapsack, The Get Up Kids, REM, Ben Folds 5.
So I got
Travis
Folds last week.
Yeah, I saw him with the symphony a month ago.
It's him and the piano when I saw him, but it was equally impressive, man.
No, he's the greatest. But yeah, I mean, like, but even then it would have been like artists like Sarah McLachlan and I'm trying to think what other bands we were just like, the New Radicals and I said REM already. That was like one of my foundational sort of like growing up, the Counting Crows for sure. Yeah.
So how did you get linked up with Drive-Thru? You know, your kids in high school playing music at, you know, your own high school and shit like that. Yeah. How did you get linked up with Richard and Stephanie?
It was a really weird thing. So, like, in the year after I graduated high school, which was like kind of the year that we were dedicating everything to like get signed, and we were working with a guy over at Interscope, so we had kind of a development deal with Interscope. And we played a show, I want to say, at Chain Reaction, which was like kind of the first time. Like, we'd always played in these other things. Like, we were very not punk rock. Yeah, we played all these other theaters outside of the scene, but we did a show at Chain Reaction. And I remember being I was working for my dad at the time. I was his office manager at a startup company he was working at. And I got an email forwarded to me, and it was like from Drive-Thru Records. And I only knew about who they were because I had taken the girl I wrote Punk Rock Princess about. I had taken her to see Newfound Glory in Face to Face. And so I only knew who Drive-Thru was because I had seen Newfound Glory. And I was like, I like this band. Like, I think this is cool. And then I was like, yeah, but we're not a punk band. And like, this is weird. But they were so eager. And so we were like, they came to my garage. They watched us play a show in my garage, like on folding lawn chairs in my driveway. And they were just like, we want to sign you right now. This is what we can do. And I was reluctant. But it was like a bird in the hand, and I appreciated what they were building, and the rest is history.
Off to the races after that. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the holiday from Real Cruise, man.
Oh, you mean our holiday from Real Cruise?
Hey, I'm happy to be involved, man. It was, man, it's an honor. It's the same thing as when you got to open up for Billy Joel. That's what it is for me. It's you know, it's opening up for, it's playing alongside the reason that I got back into piano.
That means a lot to me now.
It means a lot to me to be part of that, brother. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about the first cruise. How was your time on that first cruise? Did you enjoy it?
It was so fun.
Were you exhausted? Did you have to?
My God, I slept for like a week. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was like going.
It was one of the most impressive benders that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was like just trying to maintain. You know, like be like, okay, well, you have to be at all these things. You like,
yeah,
you want to be having a cocktail with everybody, and there are times where you to be like, no, like you have like 12 hours of work to do.
Yeah, you can't. It's all work and all play at the same time.
But it was magical. I mean, I know it sounds maybe like corny or whatever, but like I really like this fan base and this community that has sprung up around all three of my bands and has sustained me and made it possible for me to do this work. Still, you know, to get so many people in one place where they're meeting each other and where the temperature's down. It's not fandom. It's like, oh no, like we're on the boat together. Like
it was a big connection is what I felt. And I can't wait to run it back in February, brother.
I'm so excited.
So Andrew McMahon, When We Were Young, 2025. Another one. And then I got to grab the photo with